Hey guys, welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We're your hosts, Leah and Michelle. Today is Thursday evening, roughly 9:30 Eastern Standard Time on October 4th, 2018. Leah wanted to go live tonight because there's been a lot of things that have been happening, but more than that, Leah's got a fire inside of her. On a dog walk earlier today, she was, going on a monologue about her frustrations of modern feminism.
But here's the thing: I didn't even put it in the title. What I would have wanted to put in the title because they censor everything. So the real title of this is "Feminism is Cancer." We did a video on that because Milo said that, and I think that was another reason why we got censored. Let me talk a little bit about censorship. But first, while everybody's coming, Michelle, I'm going to tell people about this story here.
So, yeah, yesterday there was a random, and I don't know how random anything like this ever is, shooting in Florence, South Carolina, which, again, is weird because the name of the hurricane that just went through there is also Florence. We have a family friend in Charleston, which is an hour south of Florence. And so I texted right away to make sure that they were okay. But really what happened in this kind of upscale community, it was definitely upscale community. There was a shots fired call.
The man was holding children hostage in a Florence home. And
so somebody heard shots fired. Then police show up, and they
were serving a search warrant. That's what Michelle and I couldn't understand. I'm really confused
about this part of the storyline.
He said, "How can you be holding your search?
How can there have been a shots? Well, no, there's a shots fired call, and so they're either responding to shots fired or they're serving a search warrant. But if there are shots fired, you don't show up with your. We have a warrant to search the shots fired. No. You go in like." I mean, seriously. So I don't, this is a little bit shady to me. But sadly, I think there were 4 officers that were shot. It doesn't One of them
6
passed away.
6 were shot.
6
One
were
passed
shot?
away.
Okay.
Yeah, and a civilian wounded.
Go ahead and read that article, but because the story kept changing yesterday as Patriot Gallery and we were in separate rooms kind of watching it and listening to the latest, and it was all a little bit confusing.
A fatal confrontation between a man who held children hostage in a Florence home before opening fire on deputies has left 1 officer dead and 6 other law enforcement injured. A 20-year-old male civilian was also shot. Deputies were serving a search warrant at a Florence home in Vintage Place off of Hoffmeyer Road around 4 p.m. Wednesday when the suspect opened fire. I don't know how he was opening fire, holding hostages. I don't know how that was working. But this is the officer who passed away, so our hearts and prayers go out to his family.
So heartbreaking.
He had just received a 30-year service pin from the department. Today will mark a very horrific day for the Florence Police Department. Today we lost a good friend of mine, an officer I have known for 30 years. Along with Caraway, 6 other law enforcement officers were shot, 3 officers with the FPD and 3 deputies from the FCOS. Authorities had to use a bulletproof vehicle to rescue the 7 police officers and send them to area hospitals. The standoff between law enforcement and the suspect lasted for 2 hours before the suspect was taken into custody.
And he went to the hospital at first.
And
then obviously he was apprehended, but before that. But anyway, from what I understand from the local news sources there, this particular community is a tight-knit community, and a lot of these officers that serve in this police department are lifers, and their parents were in the police force, and their children will be on the police force. And so this hits that community very, very hard just because they're like the police and their are like a family there.
Yeah, a very, very emotional police chief said, "I can only echo the sentiments of the sheriff and ask for prayers of every human being that knows the Lord Jesus Christ to pray for these officers." They were responding to the scene of an incident where they knew their brothers and sisters from the sheriff's office were in need. As we all do, they do for us.
You know, and I had no idea that they were part of some sort of Bible Belt, because when we lived in Oklahoma, we were called the Belt Buckle of the Bible Belt in Tulsa. But as I was listening to this coverage, I kept hearing about prayers.
Jesus.
Please pray. Please pray. It was a very Christian broadcast coverage. And so I really don't believe that as far as the police force is concerned or anything like that, that there was anything nefarious going on. However, Patriot Gallery, maybe she can correct me here. I don't remember if it was a state representative or who it was, but no, because he was in Washington. That's right. It was either a senator or a congressman. Came out right away and was pushing gun control. Which was very disturbing to me.
Very disturbing.
They do that every single time.
Very disturbing. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna show you some of the unhinged leftist women today, and I really want to delve into
They're
this.
Crazy.
This
They've reached a level of insanity that I didn't even think.
This lesbian-esque mindset, this gender neutralness. But I do want to play for you a little clip from Alexandria. I can never pronounce
Cortez.
Yeah. Where she says, let's see if I can get it together here. Let's see, Alexandria. Let's see, I'm gonna get this. Ocasio-Cortez. So this has been making the rounds where she says, "When I am inaugurated."
No, she doesn't.
Yeah.
That's embarrassing because we all have flubs, right?
No.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez making yet another mistake in the public eye. The Democratic Socialist showing that she really has no idea what Congress actually does.
I would love to get inaugurated January 3rd, January 4th. We're signing health care, we're signing this, we're decarcerating our society. But really, it is that we have a duty to always fight and maintain the strength of our values.
Ocasio-Cortez completely unaware, apparently, that members of Congress are sworn into office and it is the president's role to sign bills into law. And many poking fun of her on Twitter. Jackie says she's literally living in La La Land. Rob says the lights are on but nobody is home. And then Valerie says, and to think she was just endorsed by Obama.
You know, and I have to tell you, I'm a little bit suspect about
her ditziness.
Well, no, I think that's real. I think it's like Nancy and Maxine. I'm always suspect when we have these females that get into these positions and they literally have no idea what they're talking about. I'm thinking about Diane Abbott for the Labor Party, right? Mm-hmm. Someone is behind them, and I have to believe that they think that they can control them like a puppet, but it's kind of like a Frankenstein where you created a monster that you can't control, and now they're going to embarrass you.
Here's the difference. I think that in a lot of people's minds, they want people to be real and relatable. So I think that some people just feel like if they send somebody who is low information, they're just representing them.
Right.
And it's embarrassing to see. Polls show that almost half of millennial Democrats identify as either socialist or democratic socialist. A new poll that's been conducted. Would you call yourself a democratic socialist or neither?
Those were the only options?
Yeah.
There was no conservative in there?
Well, this is amongst Democrats.
Oh, okay.
So Bernie Sanders says that he says, I don't believe government should own the means of production, but I do believe that the middle class and the working families who produce the wealth of America deserve a fair deal. Sanders ran on a platform that promotes initiatives such as single-payer health care, free college for all, raising both minimum wage and income taxes. He was the most popular presidential candidate among 18 to 29-year-olds in 2016.
Can we talk about raising the minimum wage really quickly? For those of you that are unaware, I would say that my forte, not that I'm good at it, but it's just what I am better at than other things, would be economics and the monetary system. And so whenever we think about these types of things, we have to know literally what's happening. We have the central banks causing inflation. And then we have minimum wage that matches that. Inflation is not something that has to happen. It just literally matches that. So when Bernie Sanders says, we're going to raise the minimum wage, you know what that means? We're going to continue doing what we're doing because minimum wage does get raised as the central banks continue to kill us with the silent tax of inflation. So he's actually not promising anything that isn't already going to happen regardless of anything. So he can literally put that out there like it's going to be a great thing, but that doesn't mean that people get more money. It just means that they continue to match. Like, you know how everybody at the end of the year is supposed to get a cost of living increase from their bosses. You're supposed to. Not everybody's boss does that. I get it. You know what cost of living increase is? The silent tax of inflation would never have been necessary prior to December 23rd, 1913. Just so that we're all on the same page here. So when he says that, it's like, Benny, it's already going to happen. Okay, carry on.
Yeah, so I wanted to throw that out there as another unhinged leftistness. This is why you need to homeschool. And we, Christian Liberty Academy, use the Becca books. Great economic basis. These children are literally being raised to be like this, to be socialists, to be gender neutral. Before I get into Amy Schumer and the whole Kavanaugh shutdown,
and we're going to get there,
I want to show you how these things start. And we're going to go to Iceland for a moment. Okay, because this is not just, this is a good example of what's happening like around the world, but like in Iceland, they're doing it like really blatantly. To compensate for differences, Iceland's answer to gender equality is to compensate for differences between boys and girls. Now, I'm getting really excited because this is a topic that I love to think and talk about. Because the more the leftist feminists screech, the more I feel grounded in myself and what I have seen since this Kavanaugh phenomenon is conservative women and everyone right of Stalin, everyone who's not been brainwashed. And I call it, there are only, the way I want to describe this is these unhinged women. I'm just going to show you some pictures.
Oh my gosh, guys. It's reached, I'm embarrassed to be a woman.
So here's the thing. There are people who lead them who know exactly what they're doing, just like in Animal Farm. George Orwell's Animal Farm, right? Then there are the low IQ, the low intelligence people who have not been able to reach their full potentials. I know. And the Bible even talks about silly women. And I was talking to a silly woman the other day, a person who I found out actually the media actually helped Donald Trump get elected. Yes. Because this person was for Donald Trump in 2016. Right. And then I had the conversation with this person again, about Kavanaugh and the SNL Matt Damon skit.
Which was awful, by the way.
Which was awful. And she's like, oh, it was so funny. Donald Trump is nasty. He's awful. Can't we get somebody else in there? Kavanaugh, he drank illegally in high school. And do you really want somebody who broke the law to be in the highest seat of the land? And so what she's doing is literally spitting out leftist talking points. Yeah. So what that shows me, I felt bad for her, that she is easily manipulated. Right. And easily controlled and doesn't really have thoughts for herself.
So on the millennial thing, Aaron Great on Facebook says age of voting should be raised. And almost to compensate for the lower level of intellect that we have amongst our young people.
Right.
Today.
What we see, I don't know exactly how I want to start with this. I think I'm going to start with this because I'm going to go to the Iceland article. And then I want to read you this article. I love it.
Rare Repair Fritz on YouTube says, boys need fishing, hunting, and farming.
Amen. Make men great again. Anti-Kavanaugh protests descend on the Senate, 100 arrested, including Amy Schumer. Okay, now I don't know how this woman is famous
or relevant
to me, when I look at her face, like, I'm not like, she's gross to me. Right. Like, I look at her as a human being, and I literally feel nauseous, like that. Like, I feel like,
but see, she is, I'll tell you how she became famous. It's the people that, because she's nasty. It's the people that go and watch the American Pies of this world.
I'm a nasty woman.
And they feed on that kind of personality, whereas there is a scripture base for that type of thing. Literally makes us nauseous, but here's the thing. Yeah. We literally make them equally nauseous.
Isn't that awesome?
It's great.
We have that. So here's the thing. We believe all survivors, and they all just so happen to have all the same signs. George Soros funds all these things, guys. If we show up at a rally, it's because we paid for our signs ourselves.
Sorry.
It's going to be loud. I'm going to try this again. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Kavanaugh has got to go. It's embarrassing.
And it's not even that large of a demonstration.
All the signs are printed up.
And why is it that they always go into these places? Is it the same place that they always go? They're always like in a place.
I think it's like it must be a mall. Loud chants could be heard throughout the Senate building. This is the Senate building, which is structured so the hallways of each floor open up and look out onto the first floor where dozens of protesters were staged. Kavanaugh's nomination has been embroiled in controversy since Christine Blasey Ford, a college professor from California, accused him of sexually assaulting her. We believe survivors. This is Amy Schumer. How is she famous? She is like, you know what? They kick people off for saying mean things, and I'm just not going to be mean. I'm just going to say gross. That is
she's a nasty woman, and they're proud of it.
Admittedly, right? So here she's being arrested, and somebody said, for being rich, does she not have any better clothes? I mean, look. I mean, she's just like, her pants are too short. I mean, what kind of outfit is that? She looks awful. Don't kid people. She probably has millions of dollars. She's made money. If I have millions of dollars,
like a normal person.
If I have millions of dollars, I'm going to look better than that. Okay, I'm not gonna look like I'm wearing a Walmart T-shirt. I am now. I don't have a ton of money. Jeez, I'm not proud of you. You're just a hag. Just a hag.
And you're verging on Miloism right now, but it's true. She is.
No, because the evil inside of her
seeps out, and it is vile.
Has nothing to do with her weight or her size or anything.
No, she's literally just disgusting.
This woman's a skinny hag. She's a hag. She's some sort of. I looked her up. She's supposed to be famous with her and Amy together. She's supposed to be famous. She's dresses like a hoe, and then rapes and violence, and I'm just a streetwalker.
This is gonna. We should have just relabeled the episode Leah Unhinged.
No, I'm not unhinged. I have a hinge right now because there are things I would be saying that I'm not saying. This is like a 2 on what I want to say.
Okay, a 2 out of what? 10?
Yes.
5.
What I would say, no. You have no idea what else I'd want to say.
Tim says, don't hold back, Leah. Let it go. Let it go.
Like, what is this? The blue-haired like, what are these people? They look insane. Like, they don't look normal.
Where was that video from earlier?
Women. Those T-shirts, Believe Women, they were printed for free. I'm going to get a free T-shirt. I'm going to get a free lunch.
Hang on, though, because I want to... Don't believe women. They lie. They do. Men lie. Women lie. People lie. You can only take people with a grain of salt. Yeah. Okay? So there is no Believe Women. This whole virtue signaling of... all women should be believed,
right?
Just because it comes out of their mouths. I mean, that's crazy.
That is true.
And I've seen the meme going around. Was it Potiphar's wife with Joseph, who literally grabs the boy's clothes like naked,
Right.
And he's like, I don't want to have anything to do with you, woman. And then she takes offense and then lies to her husband about it. Believe all women.
He went to jail.
Forget that.
Joseph went to jail. Okay, so here is everybody's using the word based Orrin Hatch, based Mitch McConnell, based Lindsey Graham for just holding the line. So here we have some more unhinged middle-aged women who start to yell at Orrin Hatch. I'm going to try to translate this for you.
Why aren't you brave enough to talk to us and exchange it with us? Don't you wave your hand at me. I wave my hand at you.
So first he says,
Stop it.
First he says
Go
like
ahead.
this,
No.
and she says, "Don't you wave your hand at me.
I wave
my hand at you." Okay?
That sounds like a full-grown woman. Adult.
When I grow up,
Wait, I'm gonna try to play this through once.
Why aren't you brave enough to talk to us and exchange it with us? Don't you wave your hand at me. I wave my hand at you. When you grow up, when I grow up, how dare you talk to women that way? How dare you? That's right. You just listen to that.
Ma'am, you gotta hold the door, ma'am. You're gonna get arrested. Senator, do you believe women?
His
Okay.
response was, when you grow up.
Okay, so we're gonna go over this a little bit on a couple of things here.
When I grow up,
When you grow up, I'll talk to you, and then they go off.
When we grow up.
how dare you talk to women that way?
Stop, pause it right there. How dare you talk to women that way?
You effing
old piece of
S.
shit. How
That's
dare
so
you talk to
mature.
an old person that way?
That's right. You just listen to that.
Ma'am, you gotta hold the door, ma'am. You're gonna get arrested.
So he says, "Ma'am, you do not hold the door, you'll be arrested." And I really think she says, "No, you'll be arrested."
You're gonna get arrested. Senator, do you believe women?
Something about like, "No, you'll be arrested." It's just hilarious.
It's
just
embarrassing.
I am embarrassed for them, but I'm glad for them because I'm glad for myself because it makes me laugh. Okay, here we have Lindsey Graham in his thug life.
Humiliated this guy enough, and there seems to be no bottom for some of you. So,
it would all be over, Senator.
so why don't we dunk him in water and see if he floats?
She says, "Why can't we just get a polygraph be all be over?" And he goes, "Why don't we just dunk him in water, see if he floats?" That's a quote going back to I think the French Revolution there. So here's Amy Schumer being arrested. There's another one. Do you want to be arrested? Okay, get in the line now. Literally goes up and asks them, "Do you want to be arrested?" Okay, get in line, and they're just politely walked out. I've never seen anything like this before. Do you want to be arrested? Okay, get in line. Do you want to be arrested? Do you want to be arrested? This is hilarious. That is a great job.
Would you like a cookie?
Would you like to be
I came
arrested?
here to be arrested. And that's true, because they did. I mean, seriously. Unbelievable.
We're going to get to the violent left here in a second.
Tim Smith says the sad thing, Leah, is that they did get in line.
I know. It's hilarious. Okay, so here we have another unhinged lefty. Now, this is a male, but it kind of goes to show you the temperament of the pro-choice
Is it a male, though? I mean, that's up for debate.
Well, look at him.
And I'm kidding.
I don't know.
But still, it's better to be, you want to kill him with kindness, remember?
That's right. What?
They actually have people filming you the whole time.
Cool.
When I say kill with kindness.
Guess what? Hey.
Destruction of private property. It's against the law.
Somebody gets raped by somebody, and they're like, I'm a 16-year-old and I can't have this baby. Think you should keep it?
It's a baby.
Yeah.
If someone is raped and she gave birth and she decided to kill her 3-year-old child.
I meant to get your phone.
Someone call the
Meant to get your phone.
Do not touch me. Someone call the cops.
Immediately he says, "I meant to kick your phone," which actually, my dear purple friend, would still be assault, just so you know. But immediately he recognizes that he actually touched her, which it still would have been
roundhouse kicked her.
I meant and not just her phone.
Right.
It still would have been assault even if you had just kicked her phone. And I would like to know, if you're not quite so certain about your ninja skills, if somebody's holding a phone and you're going to roundhouse kick them, and you have this small, maybe 3-4 inch area, and you got to make sure that your distance of your foot is kind of perfect there. If you don't have Neo from the Matrix kind of skills to make sure that that's like a perfect, maybe you ought not to roundhouse kick somebody and then come back and say, I just meant to kick the phone. I just meant to kick the phone. I just meant to kick the phone. He says like 3 or 4 times because he knows he's about to be arrested.
So Charlie Kirk says, I've never seen such angry protesters fighting against the right to due process. When the left can't win on ideas, they resort to destroying good people's reputations and attacking the character of anyone who dares to stand up for him. So here, if you can stomach it, here we go.
This guy!
I saw a woman!
Prove it. He's innocent. Until proven guilty. Prove it. What evidence do you have?
What evidence do you have that
I don't have to prove a negative. That's what makes our judicial system so
So
amazing.
you're gonna let a potential assault person in our What kind of uncultured swine are you? Tell me! You don't believe her? Do you not believe women who are raped and assaulted?
I believe something happened to her. I do not believe it was Brett Kavanaugh.
Why? Where do you get that idea from?
So I...
Your Republican talking points?
So I...
Somebody rapes you! You recognize their face!
So I believe something happened to her, but I also believe in the presumption of his innocence. 35 years, she did not run into social circles. For 1 second, a changing narrative, 0 witnesses.
And she didn't even answer a question about her.
She could say it was...
Blacked out. Open up that idea?
He raped her and she blacked out.
So besides that, what other evidence do you have?
That's not even part of the story.
Get the out of here.
I'm having a conversation. Because I believe in the presumption of innocence. Because that's why...
We need an FBI investigation then.
He's already been through 6 FBI background checks. Has he not been through 6 FBI background checks? Sorry?
Mark Judge has been questioned. I don't think he has.
Mark Judge has a sworn affidavit.
Actually,
Does he not? No, he doesn't. He does not have a sworn affidavit. So everyone here believes he's guilty. No. He's already been through 6 FBI background checks. And by the way,
there's new information.
This is painful.
Well, no, it means that you have the presumption of innocence.
You can even reopen criminal cases with no
The idea that Julie Swetnick was a child gang rape ring that he ran, that's ridiculous. Everyone knows. Why is it ridiculous? Why would she keep on going back to the parties if that was happening?
That was a good point. I'm glad they shut it off right there. Why would Julie Swetnick keep going back to these parties where constant rape lines were happening? Now, she says that she was in one of these lines where this happened to her. Or she wasn't in the line, but there was a line of people assaulting her, and the worst possible things that you can imagine happened to her. And yet, she says that she saw Brett Kavanaugh at several of these gang rape parties. So why do you keep going back, Julie?
Well, she had to walk back her sworn statement. So Avenatti should be disbarred.
Yes.
And she should go to prison. And
Absolutely.
actually, don't worry, guys, because our senators have had enough. And they are calling for investigations and prosecutions of these false accusations.
Yes.
Especially starting with
Because
Swetnick.
you can't, here's the thing. Defamation of character is a very real thing. It is, you can take it to court. You can sue somebody. What has happened to Brett Kavanaugh, and I really do believe that he will be on the Supreme Court. I think the votes are there. Mm. But after that, he does need some sort of recompense for his name being dragged through the mud, for what happened to his family. Whether he pursues that or not will be interesting to see.
It's cold in Portland. With bloody handprints over their mouths and signs that say being silenced by the Senate, a gaggle of whacked out protesters in Portland staged a screaming die-in protest in front of the Hetfield Federal Courthouse.
let's not do it again.
It should be noted that
on Facebook Live, somebody says,
here's some more. This is awesome. In the streets.
Are you serious? With are those like body circles around them or something?
Yeah.
Okay, so Kathy, she says, well, YouTube has pulled the plug on your videos and Facebook lets you go live, but has pulled the plug on the sound. It's really, really low. A couple of you have said the sound is low. Others on Facebook Live have said that the sound is okay. We actually are live right now on YouTube, Mass Faith 3. So if you are having issues with sound on Facebook, you can just go to our Mass Faith 3 channel and join the group there. I don't know what it is about Facebook because I'm simulcasting from the same software with all of the same settings to Facebook and YouTube, so I don't know why there's a difference
sorry
there.
about that. I can talk louder. That's always my
no.
I can talk louder. Women's March leaders criticizes white wives with their white husbands, calls for attack on Trump supporters. There was a rally today outside the Supreme Court. One of the speakers lashed out at white women with their white husbands and called on Democrats and far-left activists to attack Trump supporters at their tables when they are eating out.
On them at the dinner table. Do not allow people to be comfortable around you supporting racists and bigots. It is not.
I'm seeing a lot of white people here.
Because I'm really gonna keep to my time because Linda Sarsour and Winnie Wong, they beast. If I don't my 2 minutes, I'm gonna be in trouble.
I don't disagree with you on that.
So let me say this last thing to you.
Hyenas.
In 2017, we started building.
So that was fun. Wasn't that fun?
Oh my gosh. Don't let them be comfortable in their seats.
White women with their white husbands.
But most of the people there trying to support you are white women.
I know,
with
it's
white
embarrassing.
husbands.
It's a weird dynamic.
It's strange. And you know what? It's this weird dynamic of these white women and their white husbands that put up with that. I don't understand it.
So
it's
I know. Here we have GOP Senator Cassidy completely destroys liberal hack stalker in Senate building. So here's another video. I mean, guys, I've been watching these videos all week. It's just.
I would fight. And I would make sure women are heard. Clearly, you're okay with a rapist who goes on the Supreme Court.
No, I'm not.
You're okay with a rapist that goes on Supreme Court. Now, the only rape allegation is with the Ho Swetnick, who actually has come out. Her ex-boyfriend said she was a stalker, had to get a restraining order, said she wanted to kill his kids and his wife. She was fired from a job for falsely accusing sexual harassment. She was overtly sexual at a job where the men were like, she's hitting on us, being very overtly sexual. So she was fired from there. She's had
not a very credible
accuser. No.
But then on the other end, clearly you're okay. The absence of evidence obviously means nothing to you.
No, there is evidence. Look at the standard. How many people are in jail on less?
How many people are in jail on less? None.
None.
Are in jail for less? Are you okay with that?
Are you okay with convicting somebody on evidence?
It's not a criminal trial. It's a job interview.
So it doesn't matter if you destroy somebody on evidence.
You stand up for rapists, not women.
You stand up for rapists, not women.
I'm going to tell you guys something. Here is a problem, and it is a problem in our country that far too many women that are attacked and raped never see justice.
That's true.
And their attackers never go to jail.
Right.
We know these stories intimately.
Firsthand, yeah.
And it's heartbreaking. So when I hear these women speaking out,
right,
I do not think that the majority of them come from a bad place. These are my friends. These are not really my friends, but my neighbors and acquaintances that kind of feel this way, and I get it. I sympathize with you because it is wrong that happens, and it totally happens. Equally as wrong is when women come out and falsely accuse a man of doing one of the most horrific crimes or committing one of the most horrific crimes imaginable that can be committed against a female.
If they cared, and this is this is where people don't, like, the disconnect is so strong with them. Like, it's so...
They don't recognize that...
Hillary Clinton still has a voice.
Thank you.
And she literally wiped through the mud. Her husband had affairs that he lied about.
Mm-hmm.
She wiped those women through the mud. Then Paula Jones, he exposed himself, asked for a sexual favor, and I believe it was Dianne Feinstein who said, well, it was only 10 minutes. It's no big deal. No big deal. But Brett Kavanaugh, flashing, everybody wants to, but he didn't do it, right? We know that Clinton did that. We know that Clinton dropped his pants and asked for a favor. They call them favors. No. Sexually harassed, sexually assaulted Paula Jones.
Right.
And Clinton, Hillary, stands by this guy. He's a serial sexual assaulter, serial adulterer, just such a pervert. There's more credibility to Juanita Broderick's story being raped.
Absolutely.
She went to her friends and she was shaken up with a bloody lip. And she, so there are people contemporaries to her situation who corroborate her story.
Yeah.
And so
I thought you were going to say the disconnect is also with these women that do have good hearts, that are trying to protect women that want to come out and say, this happened to me. You don't realize that by standing behind somebody that is falsely accusing someone, you ruin it for all of the rest of the women that really should be believed.
See, but what you're seeing with this Me Too movement, it's only against...
Right.
It's only used if the victims are some sort of Democrat social justice warrior.
Right.
Or if the person accused is someone like right-leaning or something. It's so absolutely weird. Here's Grassley going off on the media for bias here.
The committee hearing was when Christine Blasey Ford said that it was not clear that the committee would go to California to interview her. I'm just curious, Chairman Grassley, you've already referred some charges to the DOJ regarding uncorroborated allegations. I'm wondering, will the committee take any kind of action against the attorneys for Dr. Blasey Ford?
We don't prosecute.
Or will you refer them to the ABA?
Right now, I'd say I don't know, and I don't know that there's any reason to. I think that what I'd like to do when we get all done, because this is almost rock bottom, I would like to have the future mending things so we can do things in a collegial way that the United States Senate ought to do, and particularly when it comes to Supreme Court nominations. And you folks can have something to do with this. Now, I would never use the word fake news. I consider you folks policemen for our democratic system of government, but I want to show you where some of you have bias. I've had demonstrators in my office for 2 weeks now, both for Kavanaugh and against Kavanaugh. And one time, the people that were for Kavanaugh wanted to be interviewed. And they said, we're only interested in interviewing people against Kavanaugh. Now, that's a bias that none of you should be proud of.
Chairman Grassley, Dr. Ford's legal team has sent a letter to the FBI, and they're characterizing this investigation as a stain on the process, on the FBI, and on our American ideal of justice. What's your response to that characterization?
I'll give you, let the FBI do what the FBI is hired to do and keep political interference out of it. And my making a call to the FBI that you ought to do something is political interference. I made no call to the FBI since this whole process started a week ago. And I'm not going to. I never had any conversation with anybody in the White House because I got confidence in the FBI. They go where the facts lead them.
They go where the facts lead them. And now keep in mind, guys, they keep calling for an FBI investigation into this. Now, the FBI did perform an investigation, but they had no grounds to do so. They literally only did so at the behest of the Senate Judiciary Committee's request. So they didn't want it. We don't want this. We have already done 6 background checks on this guy. The FBI did. We don't want this. We can literally do the exact same thing that you guys pretty much just did in your hearing. We can give you the transcripts of that. That's what they did. So now we've got the Judiciary Committee that has gone in, and they are all taking turns reading their little one at a time. Well, everybody is reading it, but they have to do it one at a time because there's only one copy. And And pretty much everybody that's reading it is saying there is no new news. And that's bipartisan. There's nothing new in here. Now, the partisan issue is we want more. They didn't ask enough questions. They didn't interview enough people. You know what I mean? It's never enough. It's always moving the goalpost.
Exactly. So this is what Mitch McConnell had to say on the floor.
The far left tried to bully and intimidate members of this body. I'm not suggesting we're the victims here, Mr. President, but I want to make it clear to these people who are chasing my members around the hall here, or harassing them at the airports, or going to their homes, we'll not be intimidated by these people. There is no chance in the world they're going to scare us out of doing our duty. I don't care how many members they chase, how many people they harass here in the halls. I want to make one thing perfectly clear. We will not be intimidated by these people.
This is George Soros' operation, and it's actually very, very dangerous. So we're going to get to my articles. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to end on a positive note. What happened is on the day the Judiciary Committee was meeting, this man here, his name is Jackson Costco, leaked GOP senators' information and threatened to leak GOP senators' children's health information.
You can't do that.
Right. Yesterday, Capitol Police arrested this man for allegedly posting private information, doxing about more U.S. senators. It's worse than we thought. 27-year-old Jackson Costco threatened to leak Republican senators' children's health information if any witnesses dare go to the authorities about his criminal activities. According to a sworn statement by Capitol Police Captain Jason Bell, a witness Tuesday saw Costco at a computer in a senator's office where he used to work, a day after two other unnamed senators' information had been put on Wikipedia. Costco is then alleged to have walked out, and hours later, the witness received an email from Live Free or WN saying, "If you tell anyone, I will leak it all." Emails, Signal, Conversation, Gmail, senators' children's information, health, and socials. Socials apparently refer to social security numbers, while Signal is a secure messaging application. Bell said there was probably cause to believe that Costco published the information about the senators and then made threatening statements directed to the unnamed witness with the intent to hinder, delay, or prevent the witness from reporting it to authorities. Many Republicans on the Senate Judiciary had their home addresses and phone numbers published on their Wikipedia pages last Thursday.
Oh my gosh.
Shortly after, Lindsey Graham went off on Senate Democrats for destroying Kavanaugh's life in order to derail his confirmation. Republicans were doxxed. The victims included Senators Mike Lee, Orrin Hatch, Lindsey Graham. U.S. Capitol Police charged Jackson Costco with making public restricted personal information, witness tampering, threats in interstate communications, unauthorized access of a government computer, second-degree burglary, and unlawful entry. Costco worked for guess who? Sheila Jackson Lee, Dem Senator Maggie Hassan, and now retired Dem Senator Barbara Boxer.
She's the one that handed that money to the lawyer. Kenneth Curtis says many women simply cannot separate this process from their own assaults. That's huge. That's absolutely, unequivocally what is happening. They are projecting what has happened to them onto Brett Kavanaugh and pretty much every white male out there.
This is Sheila Jackson Lee, the woman who handed Christine Ford's lawyer an envelope of, we believe,
it was a substantial envelope.
Money. It was her former staffer that did that. Rand Paul's wife wrote an article.
Good for her.
Remember, Rand Paul and the other senators and other congressmen were at a baseball practice for congressman baseball when some crazed leftist Bernie supporter went shooting everybody. Rand Paul was randomly attacked by his neighbor. They're saying it wasn't political. We all know it was political.
Totally political.
Broke his ribs, almost killed him. And now
tackled him.
Rand Paul's wife is so scared that she now keeps a loaded gun by her bed.
Or I thought it was under the pillow, but
Senator Rand Paul's wife has spoken out in regards to the growing trend of harassment and actual physical violence against Republicans and conservatives, revealing that her family has experienced horrific threats in recent months. She penned an open letter to Democratic Senator Cory Booker, who previously encouraged activists to get up in the face of some congresspeople. Mrs. Paul's letter comes after her husband was doxxed and accosted by a leftist mob this week at an airport. Earlier this week, Rand was besieged in the airports by activists getting up in his face, as you, Senator Booker, encouraged them to do a few months ago. Same thing with Maxine Waters. Preventing someone from moving forward, thrusting your middle finger in their face, screaming vitriol. Is this the way to express concern or enact change, or does it only incite unstable people to violence, making them feel that assaulting a person is somehow politically justifiable? Mrs. Paul calls for Booker to retract his comments and wrote that they are all part of a broader effort to intimidate and threaten Republican members of Congress and their families. Mrs. Paul, who has previously spoken about her fears over her husband being such a prominent voice in the liberty movement, notes that her family now has to have extra security patrols, noting that someone just posted our home address and Rand's cell number on the internet. Wow. I now keep a loaded gun by my bed. Our security systems have had to have been expanded. I never felt this way in all my life. The letter also references the attack on Rand Paul last year when an unstable neighbor attacked the senator in his own yard, breaking 6 ribs and leaving him with lung damage and set multiple bouts of pneumonia. Pneumonia has been known to kill
the
very strong
people. We have a personal friend that died of pneumonia in his 30s.
Very strong man in the 30s. Mrs. Paul points to the fact that Democrats, reporters, and leftist celebrities have all made jokes. Imagine if he had died.
Oh my gosh, unbelievable.
Imagine if he died.
No, I don't want to.
The neighbor would have said, "Oh, it was just an accident. Sorry. Sorry for your loss." Everybody's making fun of the attacks, making fun of getting up in Cruz's face, Sarah Sanders' face, in an effort to diminish the trend of leftists using violence to justify their political ideology. I was getting in a little Twitter spat with someone when I called this a communist tactic, because they're like, well, you don't understand Karl Marx and Frederick Engels, because they were just, calling out for workers' rights. These people are not getting up into Rand Paul's face and Ted Cruz's face for workers' rights. Other Democrats, including Maxine Waters, have recently used language openly encouraging agitators to harass Republicans. Responding to Mrs. Paul's letter, Booker's office suggested Wednesday night that right-wing outlets had taken his remarks out of context. No. It's the left wing that have taken your things and used them for violence.
Right. So if anybody's taking what you said out of context, it's the people that are implementing violence. And maybe you should step up and say, hey, that's not what I meant. Please don't do this. And I want to tell you guys something. The insanity level that the left is trying to trigger amongst their base is about of desperation. And so I want you guys to be a little bit excited. Not that I don't want anybody to get injured. That's not at all what I'm saying. My point is, it proves their desperation if they have to reduce calling out their dogs and saying, well, now we don't have anything left, but if you really want to assassinate someone or assault someone, that's on you. And maybe the scare tactics will work, and that's why Mitch McConnell is saying we will not be intimidated, we will not be scared away from doing the right thing. So we see the left just grasping at straws. Did you guys watch Sean Hannity and Tucker, was it last night or the night before, talking about the ICE gate? They were so desperate to come out and say, well, Brett Kavanaugh once threw ice in somebody's face. And I love when Fox News actually does something right, where they get all these sound bites and he threw ice in his face, and he threw ice in his face, and he threw ice in it, and Brett Kavanaugh once threw ice in a guy's face. Are you serious? That's what you have. It's probably not true. I'm going to go with not true. But even if it was true, you've got Icegate. That's what they have
Bill
nothing
Clinton
left.
drops his pants in front of Paula Jones and says, here, do me a favor.
They have nothing left. They are losing. They're melting, and they're really still trying to shoot their arrows as they die. And it's great. It's fantastic.
For goodness sake, this is the United States of America. Nobody is supposed to be guilty until proven innocent. Our society is not a place where uncorroborated allegations of misconduct from nearly 40 years ago, allegations which are vigorously disputed, can nullify someone's career or destroy their reputation. Is that what the Senate's going to be known for? Your nomination comes up here, and we destroy your reputation. Time for us to stand up to this kind of thing. We owe it to the American people not to be intimidated. by these tactics. We owe it to the American people to underscore that you're innocent until proven guilty. It's the Senate that's on trial here, Mr. President. Can we be scared by all these people rampaging through the halls, accosting members at airports, coming to their homes? They're trying to intimidate the Senate into defeating a good man. Are we going to allow this to happen?
So, James O'Keefe, before you say something, James O'Keefe made a really good point. He said he was on probation for 3 years because he walked in to a senator's office with a hidden camera.
Right.
3 years probation. These people can yell and scream in people's faces and nothing happens to them. This, I don't know why. James O'Keefe walks in with a hidden camera, 3 years probation.
Right.
These people get up in their faces, hold elevator doors open, scream at them, and nothing happens. I don't understand why it's only a conservative who wants to, secretly record somebody. These people are openly recording
I'm actually really excited about this. Do you want to know why? Because we are seeing, no offense to Mitch McConnell, okay? No offense to Grassley, right? But what we're saying here is some otherwise docile politicians that are now having people come into their faces and into their spaces and making them a little bit more upset than they were before. And now maybe as a politician, some righteous 30-year-old that's welling up inside of them that never went anywhere is rising up like a manly man, like a founding father that says, hang on a minute. We want a collegiate Senate. We want something that has something that we can be proud of, something that is honorable and not some sort of circus. And so we have these people inside of these older people that are trying to get out and are trying to stand up. Instead, we have this old man that's saying these things, but it's actually inside. You've got a fighter inside wanting to come out. And maybe I shouldn't have been bought off. Maybe I shouldn't have been part of the Rhino Party. Maybe I really should stand for morals. Maybe I shouldn't be listening to all the lobbyists that come to Washington so that I wear names like NASCAR on the side of my sleeve. Maybe I really should stand up and do the right thing for my country and represent my people. Maybe that's what I should be doing. And we are seeing these men that were probably a little bit corrupt politicians, even Lindsey Graham, coming out. And maybe they have something inside of them that says, we should stand up for right. We can beat evil. I can be on the good guy side.
It's much more fun. So I agree with you 100%, because what we see happening is Lindsey Graham is like thug life, like on steroids. He literally said, I don't give an SHIT what anybody thinks. I'm going to enact the Trump agenda.
And
now,
here's the thing. Kind of
you know what? He was cool with McCain. I think McCain left and freed Lindsey Graham. He even said that.
They've been, like, the shackles have fallen. They're unzombified.
He said, Lindsey Graham was like, McCain being gone now, like, I feel like I have this burden on me. I've got to stand up. I've got to rise up. But what you're saying here is, like, Lindsey Graham during the judiciary, this whole Kavanaugh thing has red-pilled everybody, and I think it's red-pilling these senators.
Right.
Who Lindsey Graham said, I'm really upset because these have been my friends.
Right.
We on the outside are like, they're not your friends.
Right.
They are really evil. Cory Booker, Dianne Feinstein, all these people on the left are really evil. Like, they're really, really evil. And Lindsey Graham and Senator Grassley thinks that they can just go by procedurally and just be friends. Like, they're just normal people with just ideological differences. But that's not it. That's not it. These aren't, like, normal people. Like, if anybody on the left, I would say I could sit down with Tulsi Gabbard. Normal person.
From Hawaii.
A few ideological differences. Like, I respect her wanting single-payer healthcare. I respect her views. I know that she wants her good things for Hawaiian people. Yeah. I want good things for Hawaiian people too. I just think that we have different ways of getting there. So that's the way that these senators viewed Dianne Feinstein and Cory Booker and Kamala Harris and things like that. And Blumenthal, who lied about being a Vietnam War veteran. These people are showing their true colors as truly evil. And the way we are now viewing Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell is the way we should view a normal left person that we disagree with. Like, okay, we may disagree, Lindsey Graham, on some stuff.
Yeah.
But we can come together on some
Right.
stuff. And he even said, and this is so exciting, and this is the tipping point that I want everybody to recognize, is a Never Trumper wrote an article in the New York Times saying that what has happened in Kavanaugh has united everyone on the right.
Yes.
And he even wrote in support of Trump, even in his, he said, so I don't know if Michelle wants to bring up the clip. I don't know if I want to bring up the clip of Trump calling out or I don't even call her doctor, Christine Ford,
right,
for all of her lies. And people were saying it's so mean. All he did was call out facts. I just had one beer. I don't know. I don't know where it was. I don't know this. I don't know that. And this person, this Never Trumper, wrote this article and said, sometimes it takes somebody like Trump to say the things that we all want to say.
You know, okay, so
So it's literally, and Lindsey Graham said this too. He said, and I wish I could find the clip, because this is what he said. He said, I don't care if you're a conservatism, a veganism, a thisism, you're literally all the right is coming together and uniting.
Yeah, I think that was on Tucker or Hannity. But Lisa, a little bit earlier, says the metaphor is we are over the target. Based on their violent antics, violence is a tactic of people who have lost the intellectual argument. And that is where we are at. We have these unhinged lefties, whether it's Dianne Feinstein or Maxine Waters or whatever, they have lost the intellectual argument. They have lost touch with their people. And they are now reduced to the violence as a tactic.
We're gonna some more unhinged.
Lindsey Graham. Factual addition that I didn't particularly like, and I would tell him knock it off. You're not helping, but it can be worse. You can actually kill somebody's cat and puncture their tires to get them to shut up. So what he said.
I don't even understand what that means.
Well, you don't remember Kathleen Willey and Juanita Broderick, so you don't. I do.
Well, I don't remember the thing about the cat. But what's the point?
Well,
The point is that Donald Trump could have said something even worse, so we should be thankful.
The point is that we've come a long way. We've come a long way since 1990.
All right, it's fine. It's fine.
No, wait a minute. Whether you like it or not, I really don't care. Here's the point. I have seen what happened to these women in 1998 at King Ford. I don't like what the president said last night. I'm the first person to say, I want to hear from Dr. Ford. I thought she was handled respectfully. I thought Kavanaugh was treated like crap. Yeah, well, boo yourself. Here's...
Boo yourself. Oh my gosh.
Tire slash and your cat killed. I guess that happened to.
He's like, well, I don't remember that. Well,
so what if Christine Ford's cat were killed and her tires slashed?
Right. And the guy was like, oh, I don't remember the cat thing. It's a cat. Somebody's cat. I do want to always, I hate to play favorites here, guys, but when Blue Guy shows up from the Parkland School down in Florida, I always want to give a shout out to him.
Buddy.
So we're always glad to have you.
So
I hope school is going well.
Lindsey Graham,
we keep meaning to have you on. Shoot me an email. We're going to do it.
Has turned into something kind of awesome. Like Lindsey Graham 2.0 is so much better than Lindsey Graham 1.0. It's not even close. Like the new software update is just fantastic. So Lindsey Graham, the senator from South Carolina, ripped into Dianne Feinstein for ripping into Kavanaugh on his supposed anger on Fox News. Here's Lindsey Graham.
I like Dianne Feinstein. I don't think she leaked Dr. Ford's name to the media, but somebody around her may have. If you saw this man as yelling, I saw a man who was offended to his core, defended his good name, took it to the people who are trying to destroy his family. What would you do if you're in that situation? Do not let these people do what they've done to Judge Kavanaugh and reward them by saying he's no longer fit because he is in the world's worst position of defending himself against a bunch of garbage from people who don't care about fairness.
Okay, and that's exactly right. Senator Graham was even better when he did some sort of public event with The Atlantic. He said that how Kavanaugh's been treated is despicable, and the audience started booing him, and he went directly after the audience, which was just spectacular.
I don't like...
So we saw the booing. You're right. I think it might have been on Tucker where he said, I don't care if you're veganism.
But it's still, I mean, they get it. Lindsey Graham this is the new software update. I like the way Shapiro says that, and I don't like much of what Shapiro says or the way he says it, but that was a good way of putting it.
Yeah. I think that, I'm not sure if we did that one, but Trump was like,
Just play it. Why not? It's for fun.
We are just 5 weeks away from one of the most important congressional elections in our lifetimes. This is one of the big. In other words, that's true. I'm not running, but I'm really running. That's why I'm all over the place fighting for great candidates. I'm fighting for great candidates.
Because he knows that if the Senate and the Congress turn, then he's...
You see what's going on? You see this horrible, horrible, radical group of Democrats. You see it happening right now. And they're determined to take back power by using any means necessary. You see the meanness, the nastiness. They don't care who they hurt, who they have to run over in order to get power and control. That's what they want, is power and control.
Keep seeing Lindsey Graham. I hope you never get it.
I know. You want this seat? I hope you never get it.
While Republicans are fighting every day for jobs, safety, opportunity, lack of crime, with them it's crime, open borders, they've been on a mission to resist and obstruct and destroy, and you see that over the last 4 days. You see it. It's up to each of you with your precious vote. It is that. You know, in 2016, we have the same thing happening. The same thing. People are going to be very, very surprised. When you win the presidency, in theory, you're not supposed to do great in the midterm. But nobody's ever had a presidency like this, because I won the presidency.
And he's absolutely right. There are definitely 2 senators. One is in North Dakota, who is a Democrat in a red state that went for Trump, who said that she is not going to vote for Kavanaugh.
And that's going to not go in her favor. Her
opponent is up by 12 points, a Republican. That seat's flipped.
Oh, absolutely.
So if everything stays the same, we'll have 52.
Right.
Okay? But there's another seat in Missouri, where I think it's Claire McCaskill in Missouri. She dropped she dropped a point or two, and then her Republican challenger gained a couple points, because Missouri wants McCaskill to vote for Kavanaugh.
Right.
And this Kavanaugh thing is the absolute, what the Democrats should have done. If they wanted to keep the Senate,
they should have just voted him through.
They should have just voted him through. They should have, and you know what they should have done? They should have just, like, let it go.
Let it go.
They should have just they could have held their line, right? They could have had their few Democrats in red states go ahead and vote on the line to keep their seat and keep their people in their states
for you to keep
happy.
Your seat.
Could have kept North Dakota Democrat, could have kept Missouri Democrat.
Right.
But instead, they have literally, they just can't help themselves.
I know.
They literally have lost all control. They have no ability to hold it. They're screaming. They're punching holes in the wall. They're so angry. They're so upset. They're literally taking the gun, shooting themselves in the foot. And we're just watching them shooting themselves.
Here is the question that needs to be asked.
But they're shooting other people, too. This is where we're all like, what the heck? But they're shooting themselves, too. So it's like, what?
The question that needs to be asked is, are they asking themselves, is it more important for us to have the swing vote, which they're still not going to get, on the Supreme Court, or for us to have the House and the Senate? Because that's what it boils down to. I don't think they've even asked themselves that question. They don't even know. They've just gone, they knew that they wanted the swing vote. They knew that they wanted to postpone that, but they didn't think about the repercussions that would happen as a result. Now, I do want to get to a couple of comments, because Rare Prepared for It says, Lindsey Graham is finding out how fun the truth is. And then Aaron Great on Facebook says, Lindsey Graham got some Jesus, like Jesus lit a fire under his hind end.
I think Jesus did. I really think he did. I really think he did. So this is from Slate. Are you ready? Total leftist, feminist garbage. And they say this. The Kavanaugh hearings have women fired up
to vote Republican.
And this is what I want to get to. The accusations of sexual assault against Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh are widely perceived to be a boon to Democrats heading into the midterm elections in November. The women of this country identify with Dr. Ford and will not forget what is happening here.
Pause before Mom forgets her thought.
Well, it's, the Democrats, since their existence, have never done anything honest.
Right.
Every vote they ever got, they had to cheat. They steal elections. They cheat in elections. And the reason they're fighting so hard is in 1960s, they took over the Supreme Court. And they have been running the country from those 9 people. It's so much easier to get 5 people to go along with you and to threaten their families and hurt them if they don't give you what you want than is, you know, the Senate's 100 people and the Congress can be unnumbered. I mean, it's a big number, 600 or something. And so it's a lot easier to control a country with 5 people. That's why the judicial system never had the right to make laws.
Right.
The laws were supposed to be made by the people, but then in the 60s that changed. And even Wilson in 1913, Woodrow Wilson, the president, he snuck in the Federal Reserve by making sure all the congressmen and senators were gone home.
On Christmas
The
break.
Democrats, the politicians, the Federal Reserve, they've never done anything right. And so if they lose this seat, they lose all power.
Yes. That's why they literally...
Well said, Mom.
Thank you, Mom. That's exactly what I wanted to say. What will actually happen if you have a constitutional based judiciary is it will be fair actually for everyone.
True.
It will be fair for the people on the left. Mm-hmm. It will be fair for people on the right. It will be fair because you literally are only supposed to judge each individual case in light of the Constitution.
Yeah.
If it's constitutional, if it's lawful, if it's fair, if it's within the spirit of the Constitution. And so it should be that if the judge themselves is not corrupt, they all should have, almost every single Supreme Court case should be unanimous, because every person who looks at the law should see it the same light.
Right.
Okay? It shouldn't be political. It doesn't matter if they're right or left. It should be about the Constitution.
Exactly.
And so what's going to happen is we're going to sit these children down. We're going to say, guess what, guys? We aren't putting conservative constitutional judges in power to take things back.
Yep.
Over or to rule over you, or to create law that would harm you, or to create law at all. We're literally not. We don't want them to create law. That was the only way, because they couldn't ram things through Congress.
Right.
But they could stack the court.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly what Mom was saying. But get this, guys. In trying to make sure that they could stack the court, they're losing. They're losing the hold of everything, because 4 more years after if Donald Trump is around for 6 more years,
wouldn't it be great?
There is going to be another open seat, and it's going to be Ginsburg. She's going to not be on.
I don't know if I can make it.
Going to be on the Supreme Court. If Trump gets another person, another conservative on that court, you're really going to just lose it. Lose it. Even Trump's like, I could have 2, 3 more. I could have put 5 Supreme Court justices on the Supreme Court.
And their lifetime appointments.
It's absolutely, so and that's their fault. Like, I don't even believe in lifetime appointments for the Supreme Court. They want to put leftists on there. They want to be able to put like baby blood into Ginsburg until,
I don't know if you guys remember what I said. I don't know if it was Sunday or Friday, but I was like, listen, they created this monster in that the judicial system, the Supreme Court, can make law, because they thought that they'd always be able to hold the seat, because they didn't count on a Donald Trump, because they knew that if they had a George Bush Jr. or George Bush Sr. in office or something like that, even if by some chance the Republican gets in office, they would still own them, and their people would still be put into play.
So this Maria Tandem, president of the Center for American Progress, said women are not just angry, they're furious, and I expect the largest women's turnout in midterm ever. In fact, however, that's like kind of a stupid way to do a sentence. The Kavanaugh spectacle seems to have evaporated the Democrats' enthusiasm edge, according to a poll conducted Monday by NPR. PBS NewsHour and Marist.
They're not biased at all.
In July, Democrats were likelier by 10 percentage points to say the November elections were very important. That gap has now narrowed to a statistical tie. Now, let me tell you something, guys. This is what happens. Because guess what? When it comes to a presidential election, the only reason that Hillary Clinton had an edge at all was because of the coastal states.
Right.
Okay, so California, some maybe New York, a little bit on the East Coast, and then within, I'm going to show you this map. This is the best way. 2016 election map. Okay? This is the way I want to show you. Okay, so this is what we have. It's all, do you see all the red? You see all the red? Because what happens is, when you have a Senate and you have a Congress, it's more equal. What happens in a presidential election is you have some blue here and some blue here, and a little bit of blue here and a little bit of blue here, and then suddenly, Hillary Clinton can get the electoral votes for California, even though, look, most of California is considered red. Look, most of even the East Coast is considered red. So when even Texas has some blue down here in the southern, but it's mostly red. So what you're seeing here is, I want you to see the red and the blue and recognize that these people, if they're voting in Colorado or whatever for the congressman, they're just going to vote. Only more people are going to vote for those Democrats in those Democrat areas. Okay? But the rest is Republican. So if more Republicans show up,
right,
that means we're talking Senate and we're talking House. We're literally
unstoppable.
I mean, I want to show you by state. I think this would be the best example. Okay, by state. Let's see. I think, is this okay, by state. So let's say that Washington, Oregon, Nevada, California, Colorado, New Mexico, Illinois, Minnesota, Virginia, all those little New England states, New York, every state has 2 senators. So let's say all the blue states have 2 senators that are Democrat, and all the red states have 2 senators that are Republican. You're going to have more Republicans.
Right.
And the same thing with the Congress. Because even within those blue states, there's more red for your congressional districts that are broken up. So you're sending, that's why Congress has traditionally always been more Republican. You know what I'm saying? So I have a prediction, and you're going to hear it here first.
Oh, come on.
That we're going to be at 57 or 58 in the Senate.
Leah's literally doing
and when
numbers.
I say we, what has happened is literally we've gone to a house party that none of us were invited to and taken it over.
That's exactly what's
happening. Because I'm not a Republican. We're independents. We're libertarians. And that's what pretty much everybody who's doing the walk away movement, they're walking into a party. I think you have something right here in your teeth, like a piece of pepper.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Did you get it?
Let's see.
Did I get it? No, I didn't get it.
No, you didn't get it.
Is it this tooth?
Yeah, it's right there. You might go like this, like swish your drink. No, it's still there. Yeah, it's still there, like a piece of pepper. Hey, resistance chicks, we don't have like a break where I can say 5-minute break. Hey, Michelle, let's get some floss. Okay, because we could take a break. We don't have that. So what we're seeing is this bump of people who are like all over Twitter. I'm gonna vote Republican. I'm gonna vote red. I'm gonna vote red. And these people who are running are not even like Republican. Most of them, a lot of them are Tea Party-ish people, libertarian people, Trumpian people. They're just regular old people. And it's a big old party, and it's way more fun. We're not angry. We're not upset. We are happy. We're excited. You've got the Walk Away movement having their march. And if you guys are near that at all, I want you to go to Brandon's page. Hashtag walk away. And Dinesh D'Souza is going to be there. Stacey Dash is going to be there. I think here's the lineup here. A lot of people from Twitter you might follow. Bill Mitchell's going to be there. Little CJ Pearson's going to be there. Dave Rubin. And these are all these like random libertarian type people who I just love it, and it's so much fun, and we're having a great party.
So when you talk about taking over, I got it.
You did. I wanted to see.
Totally got, it took me a minute to get
I know.
it.
I was wondering what was going on.
It was like going in and then out. Anyway, a couple of comments about Lindsey Graham. Somebody had quoted him. Forgive me, I don't remember who it was. Saying, I really loved John McCain. And then somebody on Facebook had said, I think, can we trust, that this is a real deal? I'm misquoting that. But here's the thing, guys. He has come out and said that he wants to put Trump's agenda forward. What our politicians are supposed to do is accomplish the will of the people.
Right.
So if he is coming out right now and he's going to put action to these words that he's saying, that he is going to implement Trump's agenda and the will of the people, I'm going to go with that. I'm going to let him have a chance to redeem some of the stuff from the past. And it really could be like from Lord of the Rings, that one king that was under that trance. Right? He could have been under the John McCain trance, maybe.
Absolutely. And
I don't know. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt for a second because he's getting stuff done right now. Let's see.
I just read a scripture where the disciples said, "Hey, Jesus, there's a guy over there casting out demons in your name. Should we make him stop?" He's like, "No. If they're not against us, then they're for us. Let them be." So if Lindsey Graham is casting out demons in Trump's name, let him be. A random note here. Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah says that the West has a Me Too problem because women don't wear hijab.
About that.
Okay, so one of the things that has been going around is that they wanted to investigate, and somehow this keeps getting this direction. We have a little fatigue mat.
Anti-fatigue mat.
One of the things that keeps making the rounds now that Christine Ford's whole thing went to pot. And what I didn't cover is that an ex-boyfriend, I don't know if I did in my praise and worship, an ex-boyfriend came out with a letter signed legally under penalty of felony that his girlfriend at the time, Christine Ford, helped coach her best friend in a polygraph when she was going to be interviewed for the FBI, and she did become part of the FBI at that exact time. That Christine Ford was never afraid of flying, that they lived in Hawaii and they popped in from island to island on little aircrafts.
Unbelievable.
So anyways, that's kind of blown everything to smithereens. However, so then now they want to go after his drinking. And I had this conversation with somebody who said, his underage drinking, blah, 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 should be an issue. Well, this has resurfaced.
And I love this. Can I read it? Or he's going to read it himself.
What was the young Barack like? What were you like? And what, everyone has sort of dreams.
This is Barack.
What were your...
Yeah, I think I was a thug for a big part of my growing up. I think I was a very typical gregarious, mischievous child as a young boy.
Mischievous.
I think by the time I was an adolescent and had moved back from Indonesia and was struggling with these issues of racial identity and a father not being in the house, and I think that I reacted by engaging in a lot of behavior that's not untypical of black males across the country. I played a lot of basketball. I didn't take school that seriously. I got into fights. I
like ice
drank
fights?
And
maybe throwing ice in someone's face
and consumed substances that weren't always legal.
Always legal.
And I think generally was acting out in ways that when I look back on it, I understand. I think that what got me through those years was sort of a natural aptitude for schooling, which meant that I didn't have to pay attention too much to be able to keep my grades up and at least
just skated by,
graduate. Some of my behavior was self-destructive. I might drink a six-pack in an hour before going back to class, things like that.
No, I thought you were going to do the quote of him reading from his memoir book or whatever that's going around too, which is kind of the same thing but hits on it a little bit more harshly. Patricia Ann on Facebook says, as far as Lindsey Graham goes, trust but verify.
That is my grandma's name.
I know, I wanted to tell her that too. Our grandma's name was Patricia Ann.
Go ahead.
All right, no, that's it. The hypocrisy knows no bounds when you can have Hillary Clinton sitting on a stage talking about how we should believe these women. How can she say it with a straight face? I think she really believes that whatever she says, people are going to trust and not even think for themselves. She thinks that she has these women so hypnotized that they will just nod their heads and smile like, of course.
Or like Ruth Bader Ginsburg at Obama's 2015 State of the Union, who literally said, I had too much to drink, and she passed out.
So you know what I really think, though? I don't think she had too much to drink. I think that they told her, you'll seem more edgy and alert if you tell them that you passed out because you were drunk and not just because you some old hag and you can't stay awake because you're too old.
And if anybody says that Brett Kavanaugh's opening statement was too political,
or
remember that Ruth Bader Ginsburg said that if Trump is elected, we should all move to New Zealand, that the country would be in a dire state. All right, so
I would like anyone that gets falsely accused of rape
to go to jail
or sexual assault. No. Not to react the way that Brett Kavanaugh acted.
So So tomorrow night, I'm going to cover two things because I think we're going to wrap things up here. I'm going to cover that the one of the guys who helped create the internet is creating a new platform to compete with big tech. So that's awesome. We're going to talk about censorship tomorrow.
Interesting.
We're also probably going to talk about this. Bob Corker and Menendez blocked Paul's amendment that would defund pedophilia in Afghanistan.
But that makes me angry.
We don't have time to talk about that. So I'm going to end with this great article, but I want to talk about this. Iceland's answer
coming back to this. We're
going to end with this. This is how we're going to end with a bang. Ready?
Okay.
Iceland's answer to gender equality is to compensate for differences between boys and girls. Okay. Elia climbed onto the table in front of her classmates. She threw her fist into the air and jumped onto the blue mats below. I am strong, the 3-year-old said, her eyes alight with pride and exhilaration. On the other side of this nursery school, in the chic neighborhood of Lofsburg, boys were practicing having gentle hands by massaging each other with lotion. Doesn't that sound like pedophilia? Gentle hands, young boys. Gentle hands.
Don't touch me.
Iceland is consistently ranked first in the world for gender equality, but teaching model, as practiced in the nursery school, is considered progressive even in Iceland. Founded in 1989 by the self-described radical feminist Margaret Dodier, the Hijili schools aim to counter stereotypical gender roles and behaviors. Boys and girls are separated for most of the day, and they actively compensate. Here's the thing: boys and girls are separated,
but why?
For most of the day, that's not going to help your gender equality. That's not going to help boys and girls work together. And they actively compensate for their gender by practicing behaviors usually associated with the other sex. They're literally trying to deprogram natural tendencies within each gender. From being daring and taking the initiative to helpfulness and being considerate of others. The best way to get closer, and I know many young men, homeschooled boys usually, who are very helpful and very considerate.
Yes.
And so I don't know why that's a female
boys
trait.
And girls in the same class
and
teaching them all the admirable traits of both genders.
Right.
Why would that be a bad thing?
The best way to get closer to equality is to admit the differences. They're literally saying that boys and girls are born with gender things and they're trying to deprogram children. According to this theory, by keeping the sexes apart, Boys and girls are free to develop their personalities and discover their interests without the pressures and constraints of conventional gender roles and stereotypes. The toys at the preschool are all gender neutral, and all the children wear identical uniforms. This woman, who is 60 years old, believes that if children practice only the stereotypical gender behaviors as society encourages, they risk slipping into what she calls the blue and the pink haze.
Oh my gosh.
Found at the two poles of the gender spectrum, this is where the natural strengths of each gender tip over into weaknesses, she explains. According to her, a girl's sensitivity and caring natures can turn into self-pity and victimhood, while boys' strengths and power can become aggression or even violence. The teacher-turned-educational pioneer's ideas have caught on. What was once a controversial experiment is now thriving in this sparsely populated island, which is home to only about 338,000 people. 3 decades after this first school was founded, 8% of the nursery schools are enrolled in this. She says, the elementary school one day, at the nearby elementary school one day, 2 9-year-old boys were pretending to be babysitters. We have to get the babies ready because their parents are coming home soon. As he laid out gender neutral rag dolls out one by one under the table in what appeared to be an imaginary bed. You have to hold them like this, cradling the rag doll in his arms. The teacher had lit candles and drawn the blinds of this minimalist classroom. At other stations around the room, boys styled each other's hair, painted on nail polish, and gave each other full body massages.
Heck no, pulling the kid. Moving away.
The dolls are for boys only because the girls don't need to practice this. Who said she does structured gender compensation work in class. She's literally thinking that girls just literally are born with the ability to raise and nurture, that they're not taught. But I can tell you that there are really bad mothers out there who have not been taught how to love and to nurture. It is taught by your mom. It's taught by growing up, and your mom shows you how to do this, and your dad shows you how to do this. I'm going to finish this article. Who says that, who said she does structured gender compensation work in class about once a week, depending on how much she deems is needed. The teacher's aims to strengthen boys' empathy and caring natures.
But why
Meanwhile,
can't you
the girls
do that
are
all
taught
together?
to strengthen their courage and self-confidence
body massages.
by running barefoot in the snow without screaming or being direct with how they feel.
Child abuse.
They're literally having boys massage each other and paint their nails and throwing the girls outside barefoot in the snow. This woman
What
needs
if you're
to be
the little girl that says, I just want to play with the babies. I don't want to be thrown outside in the snow. My favorite color is pink.
This woman needs to be put in jail.
Yes.
This is child
This
abuse.
is horrible.
You don't put 3-year-olds barefoot in the snow without screaming. You want to toughen them up. Put them in the snow without screaming.
Oh my gosh.
So now that you've been thoroughly depressed, I'm going to read to you a thoroughly
ending on something
entertaining
cool.
article. I'm going to get to it, okay? I'm showing you the negativity, and now I'm showing you the positivity.
You see my balloon just went...
Okay.
Oh my gosh, this is so great. This is great. You're going to read the whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Should we take turns?
If you want to.
Well, it's long. I might get tired of staying in here.
It's not that long. We can take turns. All right, so this
She
woman...
read this to me on
This
our dog
woman
walk
shared
today.
this article that D.C. McAllister is a woman I follow on Twitter. She is an anti-feminist, awesome woman. Male strength should be celebrated, not replaced with girly men. And she puts a picture
girly men.
of,
You know,
of
it's
running...
I just have to quote Mrs. Doubtfire for a second. I don't work with the males because I used to be one. We don't do the girly men.
So now that we have seen what the leftist feminist women have done, and by the way, that woman looks like a man to me. You see her? She just looks like a man to me. What these women have done is, as Paul, I think it was Matt Walsh today on Twitter, is calling it out. The feminists hate. The feminists
are jealous
of men.
They want to be them.
They want to be them. Yeah, I actually want to bring that up because it's a really good thing. This is all going all over Twitter today. Is all these wonderful conservative women are standing up. Like, we really, really, really want men to.
We want men to be men. We really want men to be men. And you know what? All you feminazis out there, none of which are watching my show right now, men want you to be women. They really want you to be feminine, and you really want men to be masculine. You just have to be honest with yourself.
It seems that leftist women hate men mostly out of jealousy. They envy masculinity and resent men for possessing all of the qualities they wish they possessed. Conservative women, on the other hand, are comfortable with themselves and their femininity and therefore appreciate men. He says, I think you also find something of the reverse among leftist men. Yep. They tend to be very misogynistic toward feminine women. Yep. Take the man who kicked the pro-life woman in the face, for example. We showed that at the beginning of the show. Due to their envy and lack of comfort with their own identity. In summary, leftism is filled with men who want to be women and women who want to be men. A very confused and disturbed group of people.
But you don't see that on the conservative side.
No, you don't see it at all. Irony of the Women's March calling someone else angry, vindictive, and hostile. The idea that women are being silenced in America is certainly the dumbest of all dumb feminist talking points. Women are free to say whatever they want, whenever they want. And they almost always attract more attention and sympathy than men. Nobody is silencing women. Elizabeth Warren said that women are tired of being told to sit down and shut up. Where is this happening? Who is saying that? Who is going around telling women to sit down and shut up? That's not a problem that exists in the reality of modern America. Modern feminism is a bunch of liberal women shouting into a megaphone that they are being silenced. I have been silenced, they scream, on a street corner to the sound of uproarious applause. By the way, the idea that men do all the talking while women stay silent is utterly laughable to anyone who has actually existed in human society.
From the
dynamic is usually the opposite, which is why all wives complain that their husbands don't talk enough. But feminists don't have husbands, so they don't actually understand what a man is or how he works. So they create this ridiculous cartoon that bears no resemblance to reality. It's like they're describing a species from an alien planet in a different galaxy.
Okay, coming from someone that does not get tired of talking ever, okay, I understand that we often have to do this when Kansas is around, or else nothing's coming out. He will not speak. Because we talk enough for everyone. It's because we are female. I understand there's introvert females that don't talk a lot. Okay, but by and large, from the history, from Adam and Eve, man. Okay, the girl was off on the side talking to the devil. She should have just been quiet and sat there. This is a time where we're looking back, hindsight, when the woman should have just shut up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm with you on that.
You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
Okay. So let's get to this article.
All right. So coming from the conservative women are finally speaking out. A lot of them are married. A lot of them have kids at home. A lot of them have lives, but they're done. They're done with these shilly Amy Schumers
for a little while to be like, yeah, women should be strong and okay. We can kind of go with that. Women should be treated equal.
But here's the thing. No, here's
Y'all
the thing.
done took it too far.
No, we're tired of just these women. I'm talking about Michelle and I always talk. We don't have a problem. I'm talking about the women who don't normally talk.
Okay.
They're getting out. They're getting the megaphones. They're fighting for like Kavanaugh. They're fighting against these feminazis. They're like, enough is enough.
Like Rand Paul's wife writing that article.
You people are insane. We like our men. We want men. Stop it.
Stop it.
Stop it.
Stop trying to make the men women.
You have turned this whole generation of dudes into soy boys.
And we don't want them.
And it's really disconcerting for us.
I go out on the street and I see these guys in their little skinny jeans. They're hunched over. Their arms are small. There's no definition to them. Their faces are round. And I'm not trying to pick on anybody, but you guys have to admit this has happened, and it's a concerted effort. It changes the mind, which changes the hormones. There's birth control in the water, which changes the hormones.
Right.
There is soy in everything, which changes the male hormones.
Right.
We've got chemicals in everything. We've got fluoride in the water. All of this, plus a societal push, has been systematically implemented to make men feminine.
This dynamic that happens between...
And I'm angry.
boys and girls even growing up. Yeah, there is a dynamic where boys are sometimes like, oh, girls can't do that, and girls are like, well, yes, I can. And it's just it's a dynamic. It's a friction that keeps life going, right? Like, how do cars even move? You got to get that engine. It's a friction. So I remember growing up, and we had an older brother, and he'd go out, and we played in the neighborhood. And there were mostly boys in the neighborhood. Right. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to play. So we ended up playing the football and the things like that. Yeah. And it was more like an age discrepancy rather than a gender discrepancy. Yeah. Poor Michelle was the youngest girl, so she had to be the ghost man all the time.
Or blitz. You get to count to, was it 1,000?
But it wasn't blitz because of your gender. It was because of your age. As you got older.
Michelle, you can go be the ghost man. I don't be the ghost man. So I'm a real person.
Okay, you get over it.
No.
You have to get over it, because my point is that boys were boys, and they played outside, and they were masculine, and they, played baseball, and they played, football, and they were outside playing. And now you have these girly men. So here we go. We want to make manliness great again, because females actually, our strengths lie in a balanced society when men are the best men that they can be.
Yes.
Then females can be themselves, and they can be strong. I mean, seriously, there's a lot of feminine attributes that are very, very strong.
Like being a mother, multitasking, being able to function, whether you're on that time of the month or you have the flu and you've got, kids circling around you, and you still have to, and your husband is sick and all your kids are sick and you're sick and you still have to run the whole household. That's strength.
Yeah, that's so true. But in that, women will never be physically as strong as men.
True that.
Okay? But you have some of these feminine guys who, want the reverse. Like, they want to be weak.
They don't want to kill a spider. They don't want to be the one that gets the snake.
Here's this woman's article. In a recent article from Yahoo celebrating the decline of muscular, classically chiseled male models for men who are thinner with sunken chests and beautiful faces. So literally a gender neutral human. Like, we want to turn us into this alien race. It's absolutely disgusting. Call me old fashioned, but I like men who look like men. I like men who act like men, walk like men, feel like men. I like the brawn, the scruff, the musty set. This is not a weird perverted article. Just go with me. The power they exude when muscles rebel. That doesn't mean they all have to look like a bodybuilder, but they need to be a man who exudes strength. Okay? She says she went to Germany, and in the 80s, she noticed that the German men were really scrawny, and she found herself unattracted to them. And at the end of the summer, all the Americans got together, and she found the American men were more muscular, and she felt a sense of relief, and like she could finally breathe. And then she took her daughter to college, and she couldn't help but notice that the men had changed since she attended college there years before. So many looked skinny and soft. Where are the real men? Where are the muscles? She asked her daughter. Her daughter knew exactly what she was talking about. They're the athletes or the basic guys who go to the gym. She says, don't get me wrong. There's always been scrawny guys among us. Nothing against them. But there is something more to this younger generation that was absent even among the less developed men of past days. They're not just smaller, because small guys, listen, I know guys who, maybe 5'6", 5'7", 5'8", and there might be a smaller stature guy who exude masculinity, who exude strength. Okay? Are you showing them pictures?
So I'm going to just bring up one example here of what the modern male model is right now. Okay? Yeah. This is what we're looking at with this skinny, you look like you're 12 years old.
What is it? It's an it. It's not even a dude. It's an it.
It's very strange to me, whereas historically what you would see is the big buff. And then, please do not get me wrong. We're not all about that either. But it begs to be pointed out that what we are seeing now is pedophilia.
Right.
All right? Because we're trying to appeal. We're trying to appeal
to a homosexual pedophile's nature.
Exactly, and we have a society that wants to make young men into that, and it wants to feminize men.
And it's depopulation. Because I got to tell you, here's the thing:
exactly.
Women and men usually get married and produce offspring.
Right.
because females traditionally are attracted to men who do work who are strong.
Right.
It's always been that way. There's the innate attraction. So she says, as she let's see, I'm gonna where was I? As she read the article about the rise of girly men in fashion Michelle just showed you, she says, I realized what it was about these men that made her feel so uncomfortable. It's because they're weak. And yes, I know I'm going against the feminist code to say that I'm uncomfortable, that I'm comfortable with strong men.
Yeah.
Women are supposed to find them threatening, a danger, a wild force to be tamed or caged, right? Wrong. As a woman who is already physically weak comparatively, I appreciate men's strength for protection. A woman, no matter how strong she might be, compares to a man, a manly man, not a feminized ghost of a man. It is in men that women find physical reassurance and comfort, not in one another. The Yaya sisterhood will not keep you safe when you're threatened. And I thought, I told this to Matt the other day. I said, sometimes I'll do these pet visits and I go outside and it's nighttime, and I will. Oh my gosh! I'm like, it's like sometimes 11:30, 12. I'm like, I'm afraid. I'm not a normally fearful person. I don't go places. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. But I'm like afraid. But then if he comes along, I'm not afraid
of anything. Like a nuclear
anywhere,
bomb could come and you're not.
I know.
Afraid.
I'm not afraid. Like all fear vanishes. Like there's not a drop of it for anything. Like you said,
which is how it should be with Jesus.
If something exploded right in front of me, I'd be like, Matt will take care of it.
Right.
He'll fix it.
Yeah.
Right. He'll protect me.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing. Like, I think that wherever I go with Matt, like I'm safe. And it's not just Matt. We have a friend, Tim, right? He helps with projects.
Right.
I know that when he says this is how we should do a project.
Yes, he's a contractor.
A kind of a dangerous project. I have no fear.
Right.
Because he exudes manly strength, manliness. He was a rancher in New Mexico.
Right.
He exudes manliness.
Yeah.
I am comfortable around men. I'm not comfortable around girly men.
Right.
I'm not comfortable around them. It's seriously.
And other men are actually not comfortable around those kinds of men. Tim being one, he calls them the flip-flop wearers. He sees them all the time. Like these, then they don't know how to do anything. Ask them to change a tire, they couldn't figure it out.
And we have a little group of farming people, and we get together, and the women the females in our group are as strong as you can get. Like. We
not
were all
physically, but like internally.
No, I mean physically.
Well, no,
except for Kay.
Right.
Right. But the rest of us are very, very strong. And we're really strong. But the dudes in our group are 100,000 times stronger.
Right.
So, like, I have a farming friend that a female in Kansas and another man were taking down trees. This is an older dude who's had 7 back surgeries, but he was a professional tree feller. Okay, he's a tree feller. Yeah, feller was a tree feller, right? And he couldn't fell the trees anymore. So Matt was the hands, but he was the mind.
Right.
Right? So he had all the ropes and he had this special tool. And me and my friend, had extreme confidence in these 2 men.
Right.
That these big trees were going to fall where they were supposed to fall. Even though the older gentleman was physically weaker than we are. He was mentally stronger.
Right.
And Kansas was stronger. But it was funny because there was one tree that we tied the rope on and it was cut, but it started to lean backwards, and my friend and I were trying to pull it, and it kind of pulled us in the direction. I was like, Kansas, you've got to get over here and help me get this tree down. He comes over like one-handed. My friend and I, we were literally our whole weight pulling this tree, right?
I wasn't there, but I heard about it.
Matt literally comes on, grabs like one hand on the rope, and we go 1, 2, and he like ready to boom. This whole tree just down, like his like one hand. Like I am not exaggerating the strength he had. And my friend Kathy and I looked at him and we're like, look at each other, we're like, what? How is this possible that like both of us are like weaker than his like one arm? And he's like, no, it was all you got. Like, no, dude, you pulled that tree down.
Yeah.
And so it's so much more exciting to and happier when we have been blessed to be around gentlemen who are strong. We had to do a lot of stuff just on our own little farming things. And we'd say to ourselves, man, I wish we could just have a man. I wish we just have some strength around
Everything has changed around our homestead because of men. We had Justin that lived with us. the things that Uncle Jack can teach us how to do. Tim coming and helping us. Our friend Mark coming and helping us.
Mark was a contractor. Dude was like my height. Okay, he was a little dude, but he would do like he'd go home and do push-ups at night just so he would be stronger. He was a very wonderful Christian man. He did Bible studies. There's scriptures all around, and he came and he exuded more manliness than almost any dude. Right. Okay, and he helped us, and he treated us like females, and he treated us with respect. Exactly. And we felt that when he helped us put in windows, we felt confidence in his confidence and his exuding. He's like, I am a man. You know, it's like even though he's a little man, he's a man. Yeah. You know, absolutely. And so I want to put that out there that anybody can be a man regardless of your size. You exude it, right? So I'm gonna finish this article. To be around strong men makes me feel at peace, alive, and more womanly. In light of their strength, I can celebrate my femininity. Right. I can't do that when I'm around weak men. We've noticed this before Kansas came around. Michelle and I, we had dudes come over and be like,
"Can you cut down this tree
Can you do this
us?
for me?
Can you get the snake out of my garage for me?"
So embarrassing. When I'm surrounded by soft males, I'm on guard. I'm unsettled. Life is fraught with struggles, even if they're not always present. Right. They're there, stalking us behind the perimeter. Without a strong man, we have no one to rely on, physically speaking. Does that make me horribly weak as a person? Not at all. I'm a strong woman. But the strength, that strength only goes so far. It's a woman's strength. A man's strength extends much further, wrapping around us like a protective barrier so we can live fully as women. There are many books written today about manliness, about the rise of the soft male and the shackling of the wild nature of men. That loss is caused by many factors, of course. There's no single culprit. Technology has taken on many of the physical tasks men used to engage in. True. I'd say, just guys, please go out and chop wood. It's very good for you. Pushing men to express their masculinity in intellectual ways, and that has its place. But one of the primary differences between men and women is their strength. Right. It's not the only point of masculinity, but it's a big one. Women are not physically equal to men, and they never will be. The comment at the end of the fashion article, celebrating girly men in the fashion world, is a bold-faced lie. If men and women are equal, then what does all that matter? They are not equal, not when it comes to our strength or even our roles in reproductive process. Men are and should be stronger. Yes. They have become softer over time. If I am as strong as I should be, a man should be 100 times stronger. Right. I don't call for women to be weak. I call for women to be as strong as you can be and for men to be as strong as you can be. I mean, maybe it's the Scandinavian Viking in me, okay? But I know I want men to be as strong as they can be, and I want women not to be, fragile nincompoops.
It's really interesting because I am a pretty strong female, inside and out, but I mean on the outside, okay? I am really strong. And yet, when our friend like Chris comes over, and we're probably about the same size. You're the same size and height. We probably weigh the same size, we probably wear the same size clothes, and yet he can lift like 2 or 3 times what I can lift. We just had to move a shed 3 days ago, a metal shed, like 10 by 12, and we're all inside of it, and I'm lifting and Leah's lifting and our mom is lifting each a corner, but Kansas was carrying most of it because he is just physically stronger.
But here's where the feminists have gotten it all wrong. Women for decades have sought to suppress manliness, but I would also put the mainstreaming of a flamboyant, weak portrayal of homosexuality that is celebrated in pop culture and the fashion world. What used to be fringe has now become conventional. The soft male is one of them. Everybody is celebrating transgender children, cross-dressing little boys. While some might think this is just awesome, it's logically impossible to brand weakness as positive. It's impossible to brand weakness as a positive. Okay?
That's like quotable.
That's literally saying, I'm going to chop off my arm so I can be this celebrated disabled person. No. To put it in the most basic terms, for human species to survive, we need to be strong. For society, a nation, a tribe, a clan, a family to survive, we need to be strong. When the strongest amongst us becomes weak, we are collectively weak and vulnerable. As a woman, I want a man to be strong, to celebrate his manliness, his power, his wildness. I don't want him tamed. I don't want him soft. I want him to be free to be a man so I can be free to be a woman.
Can I just state for the record that when men, even as a joke, do like some sort of homosexual quoting, or they try to talk as if they're like homosexual, it's like fingernails on a chalkboard for me. So please don't ever do that, okay? You know when it's funny? It's funny when you see in like White Christmas, okay? You've got Bing Crosby, and I can never remember the other guy's name. The tall, skinny one. And they go out and they are Rosemary Clooney. And again, I can't remember the other girl's name. And they pretend to be them in that Sisters song. That's funny. Okay? That's comedy. But when you literally try to put on a homosexual, please just don't do that, because it literally makes me ill when guys think that that's funny. It's not. I don't want to hear that coming out of y'all. I don't. Okay? If you want to joke about being extra manly and tough, okay, fine. But it's I just kind of feel like conservative men, and all men, whether you're conservative or whether you're a Democrat, I don't know, need to be given permission to be manly again. That's why Leah wanted the title to say, "Make manliness great again." You need to hear. Sometimes we all need some sort of affirmation, reassurance that women want y'all to be manly. We want you to get the snakes. We want you to kill the spiders. We want you to make decisions. Women can't make decisions. Y'all know it's true. You know it's true. By and large, women really struggle with making decisions. We need somebody to step in and just be like, this is what we're doing. We want someone to take charge. Kansas and I, God love him, and I do very much. And he is, somebody asked, is Kansas manly? Absolutely. Absolutely. Every bone in his body is manly. However, he's also very polite. That's his one weakness, the politeness. When he and I are on a project together, he will sometimes defer to me out of politeness. And we have had to work out a system, okay, where I'm like, listen, when I'm on a project with you, I know that my personality is by and large a take charge type personality, but I don't want to do that. I literally want you to step in and say, this is how we're going to do it. This is the right way. Bada bing, bada boom. We get it done. This is what we want. So I want all y'all, our male viewers, okay, coming from a very strong and independent woman, I want y'all to be manly. I want you to be assertive. I want you to take charge. I want you to be masculine. I think it's fantastic if you want to go shooting or hunting or whatever. And those are just like, I don't want to call them symptoms, but that's something that people, you know, you get a Christmas card. It's manly if it's got some fish on it or something, so it goes fishing. It literally, the problems aren't in doing these things, right? You're talking about the little boys that play with the male toys, or the cars, or the girls playing with Barbies. No. It really does boil down to who you are as a person, what your gender role is supposed to be. It's a responsibility, in fact, for women to be strong the way that women are supposed to be strong, and for men to be strong the way that men are supposed to be strong. And when you shirk that responsibility, all of society suffers. So, I think we're going to wrap that up. Leah, I guess, is cleaning up an accident. Jasper had to go. She had oral surgery. She had teeth removed this week. Poor Jasper. Mom says, not violent or aggressive. Lead by God and his power. Absolutely.
True masculinity is about protection.
True masculinity is about protection. And provision. I said this to a friend of mine, or to a group of our friends, actually. Children are the earth in the constellation of our lives. Our whole goal should be, God says, be fruitful and multiply. I said, the marriage is the sun. It provides the life to that. But everything, your provision, the way society functions, should all be around children and raising up good, conscientious, moral, religious, godly future members of society. Lisa says, it's great to communicate your need for Kansas, to appreciate your views, and ultimately decide the course of action. Exactly. And that's how it should work. behind every great man is a great woman. I see that in John Quincy Adams. I see that in John Adams. And George Washington. You see it in all the greats. They had these really, really, really strong women behind them. And if you guys are interested, you can go to the archives in Massachusetts and read the communications between Abigail Adams and John Adams from their courtship on through his presidency, beyond that. And you will see firsthand just how much she influenced him.
They had a very equal relationship, equal in intellect. Women and men are equal intellectually.
Yeah.
But when men realize that I'm stronger, I'm designed to protect you. When they
I can make a decision that's not based on emotion.
Yeah. And so women have a strength that's different, and men have strengths. And so when women exude the best qualities that they have, and men exude the best qualities they have, what you see in public schools today, what you see in the Iceland thing, which seems extreme, but it's what's happening everywhere.
Yeah.
What I see happening in the Make America Great movement is the left has gone so far that it's pulling everybody back.
Patricia Ann again says, I want men to go back to being the breadwinners and women raising the children. For some strange reason, equality doesn't change Mother Nature. Men still beat their women still cheat on their man, and nothing changed except for the stress level, kids included. And we see that as an epidemic. You're not wrong.
Right.
We see when men are not treated the way men should be treated and given that position of being the breadwinners, society is going to crumble and things are going to deteriorate as a result of that. What, Leah?
Well, Sydney walked out.
Oh, Sydney left. Podum13 says, born in the mid-70s, I was taught to protect my sister, and growing up, it switched to other women. Thank you. Thank you to all men who have chosen to be, to take chivalry seriously, to take their responsibility as men seriously. But as a female, I just want y'all to know, we want to make manliness great again. And I believe it's happening. Right. But it is disconcerting when you see all these soy boys walking around.
Right.
It's sad. It's really sad.
But I think everything is changing.
Everything is changing.
I want everybody to be excited.
And you should be excited. All right, so we're going to sign off. A couple of things. Kelly tells me in the chat that they were able to get some tickets to a Trump rally. She's very excited about that. We're going to be going live tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and again on Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Rare Repair Fritz says, single men need this message. I hope they get it. You guys can share, like, and comment on this video. I can't tell you how much it's meant to me. Leah did that praise and worship video, and it seems like with our Bible study videos and our praise and worship videos, they get far more comments than even the news videos. You can still comment on the news videos about godly things, but I see that everybody's really hungry for that sort of thing. Stan Hart says, my son-in-law takes care of the kids. Good thing, too. They are bruisers. My daughter is little. So, yeah, I totally get that. All right, so thank you, guys. If Chris Holman is watching, happy belated birthday to him. He had a birthday yesterday. So
sorry,
we're going to see. There, it's Jasper. It's fine. Maia says, single women need this message, too. I feel like I'm forgetting some stuff, but I guess we'll have to catch it tomorrow. And she says, Kelly says that they're probably not a song because we're almost done. It's almost at 2 hours. Kelly says they fixed their computer, so they'll be going live at 9 p.m. after our show tomorrow night. Oh, the Q hat. All right. Billy the Night Train asked about this hat. If you guys didn't see our mail call, I think it was Friday, Leah, that we did that. Mm-hmm. Somebody sent us 3 Q hats. We have no idea who they are. I don't know where. Somebody said, Michelle, where did you get the hat? In all honesty, I don't know. It came from China, I think. I love this hat. It's perfectly shaped. A close-up of the hat, please. Billy says. I think it says Q+. What else does it say? Pray. Trust the plan, pray. I knew pray was on there, but I couldn't remember the trust the plan. So, yeah. Michelle, what is your opinion on Q? I don't have one, but there are a lot of relevant links that get shared that should be put out there. And so I got to say that's a good thing. Who is Q? Our mom is Q. Our mom is most assuredly Q.
Sign off, Michelle. We need help.
Leah says we need help. I think we're having some issues. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you to our moderators. We will see you tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have a P.O. Box 107, Milford, Ohio 45150. Please drop us a line. We'd love to read your letters on air. We love you. God loves you. God bless. I was cold all alone. Your place